Hello, hello, welcome everyone for another episode of the Author Spotlight. The Author Spotlight is the show where we go behind the scenes with those people who are KPIs, those people who are change agents, thought leaders, planet shakers. And I'm so excited to have on the show today Miss Sharp. I'm going to just share a little bit about Miss Sharp. Miss Sharp has it going on all the way around. She can take care of your spiritual needs by being used as a vessel far as that. She is an author as well. She does keynotes. She does workshops. I'm just going to just share a little bit about her. She's a mother as well. She got it going on. Just talking about one of her children earlier about he got the skills on the basketball court. So we will see her like Steph Curry and Mama. We'll be seeing her on ESPN and on TNT. We'll be like, we seen her on the Author Spotlight. That's that girl Darren was interviewing. Her boy done went to the league. So we got a chance to be able to experience her today on the show. But I shared a little bit about some of the things that you do, but you can share more in detail on all that you have going on. But she's a tremendous entrepreneur as well. So Miss Sharp, welcome to the show. And if you don't mind, please share with our audience a little bit more about your bio and fill in any gaps that I might have left out.
Sure. First of all, let me thank you. Thank you for having me on today, and hello to everyone who is watching. Yeah. So let's see. I am an author. I'm an ordained minister. I was ordained. Gosh, it seems like it's been so long. 2007. So right at about 11 years, have been ministering and traveling and doing that. And I also speak. So I do business events as well. And I do keynotes and sharing key things in business growth. Also, self development is one of the things that I speak heavily on as well. Healing, forgiveness, those are other topics that I share as well. I am an author. I guess that's why I'm on here. I also teach people how to write books. So I have a writer's boot camp that I host. Typically, I've been doing it in Oklahoma City, where I'm from, for the last 4 years. I've also traveled it as well. So it's been in Minnesota, and I've also taken it to several different events. And then I also be going to Florida as well with it. So I teach people how to get their books done as well. Let's see, what else am I missing? I am also the executive director for a traveling ministry, which is how I got started in ministry as well. And gosh, I'm trying to think. There's so many hats I have the opportunity to wear. I am a mother of three. My oldest is 17. He graduates this year. My middle son is 13, and my daughter is 6. So I think that's everything. I think you covered a lot of it.
Awesome, awesome. Like I said, I appreciate that. I told you she could tell it better than I could, but I know she's covering a lot of ground. She's juggling a lot of things. And I just want you to share with us when you bring up the books and you're an author yourself. I want us to go and look at your first book. And if you don't mind, share the name of it with our audience and then tell us why this book, because we see that you've been blessed in so many ways because all the wonderful things that you are doing. But at the same time, what triggered you to say, you know what, out of all the experiences that I had, this needs to be the first book that comes out? What could you kind of take us for as the backdrop of your mentality for as creating the first book and why that book?
Sure. So to be honest with you, when I get asked this question, I'm always wishing I had like a really deep answer. I was at that time I was married and a stay-at-home mom, and we were, let's see, my oldest son was 5, and my middle son was 1. And so I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm one of those people where it's just hard for me to just be sitting still doing nothing. Not that staying at home was doing nothing, but my brain needed more. And so God began to speak to me about sharing my story. At that time, I was a little nervous because I hate to use this term, but I had a very difficult childhood. So, my
Mm.
abusive alcoholic, and so that was my upbringing from the time I was 0 to 5. When my mom remarried, she married a man who molested me, and so that was another part of my story. And then as I became older and started dating, I ended up at 17 years old being raped by someone who I considered a friend. Raped me, and I ended up being pregnant. And then I made a decision at that point to have an abortion. When I was 18, I had another abortion. And so that was the result of being in a relationship with someone who was a drug. So my mom was like, "You're not having this baby." And so I found myself, 17, 18, literally 8 months apart, I'm having two abortions. So that was my upbringing. And God began to deal with me about sharing these stories. So my first book is called Unlocking the Doors to Destiny. And so the purpose of that book is I wanted people to see, no matter where you come from in life, that God still has a purpose, He still has a plan, there's still destiny for you. And so I give the readers keys, and I ask them questions about their own personal life. And then I begin to share my experience and how God brought me out of those different experiences. So really, my first book was more of a mandate from God. It wasn't something I always felt good about writing because it really put me in an emotional space. But it's healthy for me because when I was done telling these stories, when I thought I was healed, as I began to pour out more, God really began to heal me more in those areas. So, in essence, that book was really an act of obedience. And at times it was hard to write. Many times it was hard to hear people tell me they read it because I knew they would see those dark spaces in my life. But I thank God for that place because it literally launched where God has me now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, this is amazing. And I thank you so much, Ms. Shaw, for being so transparent with our audience. And I want those who are listening to this interview or watching this interview, I want you to think of your own life. It's easy in this day and age, and I know that Ms. Sharp would agree with me. It's easy in this day and age where social media, and social media is good as too, is depending on, it's a tool, if you use it for good or bad, but where you just see the great parts of people's lives. You see the sun shining part of their life, but you see the summers or the springs of their life, but you don't see the winter. You don't see the hardships. You don't see the obstacles that many have to go through. You don't know that some people are faking it on the ground. They're doing it for the gram, so to speak. Like what I hear a lot of young people sharing. But that's the thing, that Ms. Sharp is able to stand where she is now, comfortable and willing to take on, and has a certain level of faith now that allows for her to have a great measure to be able to move forward and where she's called to go towards her destiny more. It didn't stop when she was a teenage girl. And so I want those who are listening and those who are watching this interview to know too, just like Ms. Sharp, she's no different than you. I'm no different than you. So you think that you're the only one with a skeleton in the closet, so to speak, or you think you're the only one that, it's only your family, only you came from dysfunction. I got news for you, boo boo. You're not the only one. And so if Miss Sharp got up off the canvas, if I did, and many others who realize that they have to reach for their greatness, they got to go towards their destiny, you can do it too. So I just feel led just to share that with someone right now. Don't get it twisted by, oh, they're on an interview and, oh, they're doing workshops. Oh, it desensitizes, or you detach yourself that, what we had to overcome, and we're still overcoming. It's a continued process. And speaking of overcoming, I had to ask you this because you wrote this book after all that you had been through. What made you believe, though? It's one thing knowing that it was on your heart. But what made you believe that you could write a book when so many have failed at the task, Miss Shaw?
Wow, that's a really good question. I am one of those people. I probably have a type A personality. So when something is on my mind to accomplish and do, I just get it done. There's no questions. And even if it takes me, my first book, it took me, I want to say about a year and a half to write. Every book after that has been less time than that, but that book was a little bit longer. And so there were times where, I questioned, who would
Mm,
my story? And that's what a lot of people who are first time authors, they say, well, I'm nobody. Nobody's going to want to, hear from me. But you are somebody, and
mm,
so if God thought enough, and I always tell people, if God thought enough to bring you to earth, that means you're somebody. And so you have something, you've overcome something that is going to be an encouragement to someone else. And so I think for me, I just get a tunnel vision. I don't necessarily compare myself to what everyone else is doing. So even though I have seen people who said, I've been wanting to write a book for 10 years, 15 years, and they've never done it. For me, it was one of those things where, number one, I'm a person of obedience. So if God tells me something, no matter how scary, now sometimes God and I, we wrestle. I'm like, okay, God, I don't know. We have this wrestling thing, but at the end of the day, I'm sure you can attest to this, Mr. Palmer. God always wins, and so I'm one of those just obedient. and I'm tunnel vision. So if God tells me something, I'm not necessarily looking to the right or left. I'm just focused. There will be distractions. I want people to know who are listening. When you're making a commitment to tell your story, it really is a spiritual thing, because you're getting some things out of you. You're literally depositing something from your life to someone else's life. So it really is a spiritual exchange. So there will be distractions. There will be things that come against you, but you have to make a decision that your story and what God wants you to share is more important than what's fighting against you. And when you make that momentum step and you continue to do it, it becomes easier and easier. So for me, it was really just being having a tunnel vision. I knew this story had to come out. I knew it was something I had to do with my life, and I just was committed to doing it.
Awesome, awesome. I'm gonna have to start calling you Jacob. Then you pulling the Israel movement on there. You start wrestling. You don't start wrestling with the Lord. Got your WWE moment going on with the Lord. Then and we all can find ourselves in that situation. And part of that too, for those who are listening to this, make sure that you get an understanding that I'm loving where Miss Sharp is going with this because she's giving you fresh. She's not trying to act like that everything is perfect. I keep going back to that. People are waiting. With me doing consulting, with us doing with the people are waiting for the perfect moment. And it's a news flash. I don't know if you didn't get the memo, the email, the instant message, the DM, that it will never be a perfect moment for you to do what you have to do. You have to start with where you are, broken, battered, shaken, whatever it may be. Take one step at a time, walk and operate in faith, and that's how it begins. So do not get this twisted. She was being obedient, but still having some challenges on the way. And so many that I'm speaking with, or we have a workshop as well, whatever going on, they're thinking because they run up against an adversary or some opposition, they think, oh, this must not be of God. Or you know what, I had that idea, but this is a sign. This is a sign because I got some opposition that, you know what, I need to cut this out. This can't be, and Ms. Sharp is telling you, and I'm telling you right now, that you need to continue to move forward. That don't detour just because it's a roadblock. You might have to take an alternate route, but you still need to get to your destination. Would you agree with that, Ms. Sharp?
I agree 100%. And I was just thinking, if you don't mind me adding, there, when you were talking about being broken, and a lot of times, some of the most traumatic stories that we can think about, not even just written, but even spoken, when we hear Oprah Winfrey's story, or we, hear different people who had these tremendous upbringings. A lot of the times they're sharing from a broken space. But one of the things I always tell people that I coach and the people that I may publish their books or come to the workshop, don't be afraid of those emotions, because, a lot of times what you're feeling in that space, you literally, and I don't know how to explain it other than that's that spiritual exchange that we share in storytelling. A lot of times when you are in that broken space and you begin to share in a book or in word that space, you're literally birthing something that the person is hearing it or reading it is going to experience. And as you break out, you give them permission to do the same. And so don't shy from it. Sometimes when you're writing, people say, oh my God, I was crying so much, I just had to put my pen down. No, push through it, because you're actually birthing something for your readers. And I have so many people who tell me, oh my God, I cried so much on that part of your book. Or, oh my God, that part was so funny. And I found myself feeling the exact emotions they felt. And so what I realized is that you're actually birthing emotions for your reader. And what's a book if you don't feel something? And so don't be afraid to be in those broken spaces, because you're giving someone something that's going to give them life. And so as you are in that broken space, but you come out of it, you actually exchange that with your reader. So don't be afraid of those broken spaces.
I love that. I love that. And and speaking of that, this is a perfect segue. I know you hear this, you do workshops, so I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak, but I want you to dig into this question here that I'm about to give you. Now, you shared that you got 3 kids.
Hmm.
You shared all the things that you have going on, Just one of the things that you're doing could just take up all your time when you would have nothing to do. The kids alone could do that. Not to mention ministry, not to mention that you serve and doing other things for as workshops, for as business stuff. I mean, you still somebody's child. You still got cousins. You got family. You got people that you know. So, what does Miss Sharp? What are some secrets or hacks? What gives you the productivity that you need to be able to get content created for your book? So is it blocked off timing for you? Do you find a quiet spot, or do you need noise, a coffee shop? How do you isolate yourself? How do you get it done?
That's a really great question. I am a person where sometimes finding time isn't easy, but you have to do it. And so typically, what I do is when my children are asleep, is the time, like the late hours, I typically try to sit down and write. Now, I have a fourth book coming, but sometimes even when and you probably can attest to this, as you're working on clients' work, you're still trying to find those few little hours in the night where you can work on your work. And, sometimes you get inspired because you're reading their work and like, I want to get my book done too.
That's it.
Yes. And so a lot of times for me, it's those late, midnight or 2 o'clock, burning the midnight oil time that I try to spend getting the things I need to get done for myself, as far as content and creating things for programs I'm doing. It's those wee hours of the night that work best for me. When everybody's asleep, the house is quiet, nobody is mommy, nobody's asking questions. It's just me and creativity.
Awesome, awesome. And see, you have to find what works best for you. So there are some people that say they come up with the idea of that, hey, you know what? They might have to go to bed early. I mean, and then get up early. That works for them. That doesn't mean that that has to work for you. Some people, they're in their creative space, just like Miss Sharp just shared, where when she get the kids laid down, she got some peace and quiet. She's able to be creative. Hey, it's pumping, it's flowing. She's able to get that content down. You might have to do it during your lunch break, or you might have your phone that you're able to text the information and store it, that you can upload it and put it in a Word doc or pages later on. Or you might have an opportunity that you get a free time and you just take your phone and start recording yourself just to keep those ideas fresh, or whatever you need to do, but do something. That's what I want you to make sure that you get out of this too. Just do something. Miss Sharp is sharing what works for her. Many other guests that you hear, they got different things that works for them. But just saying, I don't know. I heard Miss Sharp say this, and then I heard somebody else say that. I'm not going to do anything. You don't want to have paralysis of analysis. So anything is better than. Oh, let me use. I always quote this, the words of my grandmother: "Aon is better than now." And so that's just southern vernacular there that y'all let y'all catch up like Hines and Hunts later on to figure that one out. But that is some wisdom behind that word right there. And I just want to ask you too as well, since you just shared with us that you're working on the fourth one, the fourth publication. That means that you already got three under your belt. How has publishing your books improved your life, whether it's from the spiritual standpoint, monetarily, opportunities, leverage? Could you share with the audience just some of the things that has happened as far as you publishing your book that you think that they should know, how it can empower them or make their life better?
Yes. So for me, literally everything I'm doing now started from my book. Literally. And so I always tell people, if you have, now let me just tell you, I didn't go into this wanting to minister or speak. I went into it just being obedient. But God began to tell me, I'm going to open doors for you to go and minister. And that's what he did. I went to a few book signings and people got my business card and they were like, hey, we want you to come to our church and speak to our youth group. Hey, we want you to come speak to our women's group. Hey, we want you to come speak on Sunday morning. And so literally it built a platform for me that, to be honest with you, I was in my early 20s. I wasn't prepared for. And it was just such a quick momentum. And I'm like, oh my God, and all these doors were opening. And so the thing I think I want to share with people, if you have an unction to write a book, chances are it's not just an idea you have. It's something that God commissioned for your life to produce before the foundations of the earth. So it's something that's calling you. And so when you become obedient, to the mission, the call to tell your story, God will open things up in ways you never could imagine. So for me, my books are legacy. I'm leaving something for my children. My when my life has expired, there won't just be pictures and video, but there'll be actual stories and words that came across on a page that came from my thinking to someone else. So it's a legacy that you're leaving. It's an opportunity to open doors for you. It's a platform builder. So for me, it was all those things. Also, absolutely monetary because I now have products that I can distribute and sell to people, that allow me to build more product, that allow me to produce a workshop, that allowed me to open up a company. So for me, literally everything started from my very first book.
Everything started from the very first book. I share this with people that they must understand. It's not just about the book for $10 or $20 or a dollar, whatever you're selling it for. It's about the opportunities and the byproducts and the L word that I always share about the leverage. It's about the leverage that you have. If you have leverage, leverage is everything. So I know people have used books to be able to move up up the corporate ladder. They was able to use the book. So the book wasn't just about a $20 book. I know people who, just because they had a book, they got into position to be able to take advantage of an offer at the job and get an opportunity where they're making $20,000 and $30,000 more per year because they had a book. And so it wasn't about the $20. It wasn't just about the speaking engagements that they had. So don't get it twisted. So whether you're a speaker or not a speaker, whether you're a minister or not a minister, whatnot, it's the opportunities. I see it even with people who are reaching out to me and telling me that it makes a difference with getting their kids into a charter school or a private, or even at the local school where they're able to help and give to the public school or whatnot and pass out the information and see that children's lives are being changed because of the information that they were able to share. So I just want y'all to listen to what Ms. Sharp, she said, everything started, and it was a domino effect by doors opening. Even some doors opening that she wasn't even really prepared for at the time, that she had to grow into that position because the overflow came and took over. So what about in your own personal lives where you are seeing that you are not where you want to be? You feeling like, I'm not operating in my purpose. I like what my job to take care of the bills, but like Ms. Sharp shared about that unction. It's a calling in you that that deep down you can't get away with it. Every time that you listen to Ms. Sharp share some information on me, it's something that's pulling in you like this is the time. This is the moment. Do not hold back. Think about what Ms. Sharp just shared with us. Her not doing what she was supposed to do, not being obedient, could have forfeited her the opportunity of being the woman she is right now, being the mother she is right now. Think about all the lives that this young lady has been able to touch. She's been able to touch. She's been used as a vessel to touch so many people. But just think about if she would deal what some of you are doing right now, if she would have bottlenecked the flow, if she would have stopped the blessing from going forward to other people. Think about how many people who she don't even know of, who the Lord done had not commit suicide because they done read and heard of her story. Those she's a minister to that she don't even know that they even heard her, or the audio was recorded. But because she had the opportunity, because she created the book, somebody reached out and called her, could you come speak to our congregation? Or could you come speak to our association, our organization? This is that's why I keep having these episodes, and I bring it and give this content away for free, because you have to understand it's a sense of urgency. Not only will it impact your lives, but it will impact lives for years to come. And she brought up the legacy piece. If you think this is not real, then you fooling yourself. And God is giving you an opportunity, but it's like the talents. You sitting up there bearing your talent, steady hollering, praying, wanting something to happen. But I love what TD Jakes said on the interview with Stephen Furtick. He said, we asking God to do something that's not his responsibility. God is not in the building of building tables. His business is creating trees. He created the tree. It's up for you to use the creativity to build the tables and to build the stadiums and to build all that right there. That's up for us to build that. So if you don't utilize and take that, then you're limited. So, Ms. Sharp, I really thank you for just going deep on us and sharing that with us, because like you, me too, I've been able to experience the same thing. If I wouldn't have created the book, none of the stuff that's happening right now would even happen. And a lot of it is predicated because of the book. If it wasn't for the book, everybody, oh, why would you need to put a book? Who want to hear from you? What, all this right here, like you just said, if it wasn't for the book, I just want to pour this to the audience, just to think about this. Because we were obedient, here we are on this platform today. This platform wouldn't even exist if she didn't do the book or if I didn't do the book. You wouldn't even be able to listen into this interview if we weren't obedient and followed. It wasn't because we was perfect. By no means, we didn't have a perfect life. So I don't want you to get that twisted. I mean, Miss Sharp might have been perfect, but I know I wasn't perfect. I still ain't perfect. The Lord still got a full-time job working on me. But at the same time, just think about this. You are being blessed by this interview because we were obedient. So what about you passing it on to someone else? By you being obedient, you sharing your story so you can impact and touch somebody else's life. And how can our audience find out more about you? You mentioned that you are available to speaking. You mentioned about boot camps and things that you have, workshops or whatever what you call it. Could you share with our audience any handles on social media, websites? How can they buy your books? How can they get you to come and speak? Just please share anything that you have so they can reach out and experience a little bit more of Miss Sharp.
Sure. So I am like all over social media. Most of Anesha Sharp on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, LinkedIn, and then on Facebook is the only one that's different. It's Anesha, Anesha Harrison Sharp. So, but if you Google, I'm sure Anesha Sharp, you'll still see me on Facebook. And then my website is www.aneshasharp.com. So pretty simple.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Sharp. And Ms. Sharp, last but not least, what is that parting piece of advice to that person out there who desires to publish their book and share their story or expertise with the world, but they say, you know what? I hear what Anesha is saying, but she's blessed, she's beautiful, she got a wonderful family, she got businesses, she got it going on. I see why people want to hear from her. I see why people want to see her, but I don't know if my story is important enough. Could you share with someone who's straddling the fence why they should share their story with the world?
Yeah, and I love this question. One of the things I always tell people when I'm, either ending a message I'm sharing or I'm in front of an audience speaking about book writing. When you talk about purpose and you talk about calling and you talk about destiny, one of the things I always ask people is to review your life. So you fast forward and you're 90 years old or you're 95 and you're looking back over your life and you're looking at all the things you've accomplished. Um, will you have been satisfied that you came and you gave and you poured out everything that God placed on the inside of you? The Bible talks about Jesus spent his life. So literally our life is a currency, it's an exchange. We're literally giving something for something else. And so when you look back over your life, will you be satisfied with everything you spent? Or will you look back with regret? So I challenge your audience, I commission your audience. If God is giving you a book to share, even if it's just an idea, you have to know that if it's something in you, it's something you're supposed to do. You don't just have these ideas because they just fly to your thinking. It's something that you were supposed to be doing. And so since that's the case, when you look back over your life in review, and most of us, we get, maximum, I believe the Bible says we have maximum 120 years as humans that we can live in this human body. Will you look back and be satisfied with what you left? Or will you live in regret? So I challenge you, if you know this is something you're supposed to do, don't look back in regret. Look back in excitement. Look back knowing that everything that your life exchanged was something that you were excited about, that you spent everything on the inside of you that you were supposed to spend.
Wow, wow. Words of wisdom. So profound, Miss Sharp. Thank you, thank you, thank you for pouring into. Hey, y'all better get Miss Sharp to come to your events, to your church, to speak to your team, your association. Make sure that you reach out to her. Make sure that you find out and look and find out when she has workshops, things that she can help you, guide you on sharing your story with the world as well. This is over 7.5 billion people in the world. And I want y'all to understand this. It's about collaboration. It's about impacting people. Some of you might be saying, well, Darren, what you do book? Why would you bring somebody else on that does book? Because we can't serve everybody. We can't serve everybody. And so she has a mission and she has things that she has to share. And some of y'all need to reach out to her in one form or another. If it's getting your book done, whether you go with us or not, go with her. Find out. You have to get, this is a mission. This is a ministry here, y'all. It's lives that are on the line. So I'm not trying to get in the way of nobody else. You have to find, and if you like one song, that don't mean that you don't like another song. We got to get out of the shallow mind and the small mindedness and expand. You got to go micro, you got to go macro instead of micro with the small mindedness. And so when you hear this story, it resonated with what she was saying. Look what this woman has been able to overcome by the help of the Lord. So you need to hear this message today. So think differently. If she has a workshop or something, invest in yourself. Pay to go to the workshop. Stop thinking that you're going to find something free online that's going to get you where you want to go. So think differently. I want you to understand that because you're missing out because of your small-mindedness. So thank you, Ms. Sharp, again for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm praying nothing but blessings for you and your career, your business, you and your kids, and so on. And I just thank you for all the things that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you
Anytime.
for what
Oh,
chance to, if I can say really quick, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Palmer at an event we were both at, and it was just really encouraging, if you'll permit me to say, to see a young African American male, because oftentimes, we see African American women doing a lot of things in this space, but to see a young African American male who is not only written books, but is helping other people birth their dreams, birth their goals. He's being we call him midwife, but he's being a mid daddy, and he's helping people birth their dreams. For some people, this is a dream that they've been waiting
that's right.
seriously for 50 years, and you're being that person saying, push, you can do it. And so I celebrate you, sir. I thank you for what you're doing globally and in our communities. I thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Sharp. I really appreciate it. Thank you for those words of encouragement. I think we definitely going to connect so much more. God ain't through with us yet. We're going to move forward and continue to advance the kingdom. So I thank you for that time. And for all of you out there who tuned into this episode, I just want to commend you for taking time out of your schedule. You are different. You are somebody, as Ms. Sharp shared earlier, or the great Jesse Jackson will tell you that you are somebody. That's what Jesse will tell you. So I want you to know that you're somebody, but you're making the strides that you need to by listening to Ms. Sharp and others who are experts, who've been where you are. And you can see from looking at their story, if she was able to do it, I can do it. If Darren was able to do it, I can do it. So until next time, make sure that you tune in on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time at self-published, the letter N, 30days.com. You can catch this episode or go to DMP Enterprises, our YouTube page. You catch the videos as well to be able to catch this episode of Ms. Sharp. But remember that this is the year for your new book. Be blessed and have a wonderful day.